Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Monday afternoon. The USC commitment sweatshirt comes back on as three-star wide receiver Cameron Sermons commits to USC in the 2025 class. Now a late addition to the 2025 class for USC. The first thing I think that pops into everybody's brain here is the last name. Obviously a legacy kid with his pops playing for USC. He's the older brother of RJ Sermons, who's currently committed to USC in the 2026 class as a top 50 national prospect. The first thing that you love here is that you feel really good about the RJ Sermons commitment sticking now that he has an older brother on this USC program. But I don't want that to overshadow that Cam Sermons brings a unique skill set to the table for USC. Now, at 5'9", 150, he's a little bit of an undersized prospect. I believe he's going to play wide receiver for USC when he gets on campus. At least that's what I would like to see him play. The kid runs a 10.46 in the 100-meter dash. And when you turn on the film, it is very clear that he's got a little bit of a different gear than a lot of other players in the high school football field. It kind of reminded me of another undersized kid coming out of high school that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of Power 4 programs because he was undersized. And that's just the reality of high school recruiting. Like when you have that kind of size, 5'9", 150, there are going to be programs that just don't really give you that many looks. His game kind of reminds me of Tez Johnson coming out of high school. I mean, Tez Johnson, 5'9", was less than a $150 coming out, 138 pounds. That is extremely small, but the movement skills are a little bit different. And Cam Sermons, when you turn on the film, it does kind of remind you of Tez Johnson, where it's not just the long speed. It's not just the ability to run by people, but it's the short area quicks. It's the change of direction. It's how smooth of a mover he is, how well he can accelerate. You see that kind of stuff with Cam Sermons specifically when he's playing wide receiver. And so if I'm USC, if I'm a USC fan, I should say, yes, it makes you feel good that he's the older brother of RJ Sermons, and it makes you feel better about the RJ Sermons commitment in 2026. It's good business on that side of things. But I'll say this too. I don't think this is just a throwaway roster spot. Like there is some juice that Cam Sermons can potentially bring to USC. And let's just be quite honest about it. We're seeing a lot of undersized wide receivers who can create separation, have a lot of success, not only at the collegiate level, but the NFL level too. I mean, a Tank Dell is another guy that comes to mind. If you can create separation with your speed and movement skills, you have a chance to be a good wide receiver both at the collegiate and NFL level. And Cam Sermons, although undersized, and although some schools might not look at him because of that size, does bring some interesting dynamics to this USC program. Want to get a little bit into the film, talk about why I think this is kind of an exciting commitment for USC. Now, before we get into it, as always, to the USC fans, appreciate you guys covering this team on the recruiting trail, covering this team in the transfer portal, talking about coaching hires. It's been a blast talking this program. Many of you guys know that. Appreciate y'all rocking with it. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Cam Sermons. First thing that you feel really good about, right? The RJ Sermons commitment. Second, I think in this era of college football, you're not getting a ton of kids that come to your program because they want to be a USC Trojan anymore. It's just the reality of not only for USC, just in college football in general. Cam Sermons, he's not getting a hefty NIL deal to come to USC. He's coming because he wants to be a part of this program, which I think makes you feel good about this commitment. And then thirdly, like another Cali kid. And even though Cam Sermons is not this massive name in the state of California in 2025, if he does have some success, it just helps you build that pipeline in the state of California. And I'm on record saying, look, Lincoln Riley's tenure at USC, at least in my opinion, is going to be really predicated in terms of how well he can get this Cali to USC pipeline going. It is a way too talented of a state to be ignoring it like the way Lincoln Riley has early. And what you're really excited to see is, look, to close out 2025 and then what they're doing in 2026, it is clear that there's an emphasis change in terms of, hey, we got to clean up our backyard and we got to make sure we're keeping this backyard talent home at USC. That's a really big storyline for a lot of USC fans. Now, Cam Sermons as a football player, 1,200 all-purpose yards as a senior, averaged almost 22 yards per catch. Again, 10, 4, 6, and the 100-meter dash. You get into some of the film. The film's fun. The film's really fun because you can tell that he just moves at a little bit of a different level. I mean, the first play right here, we're just going to get vertical here. The pull away speed. If you were even with this kid, you're cooked because when he gets to that top speed, which is very easy for him to do, he's going to run right away from you. You can see the pull away speed that he brings to the table. And then some short area quicks, right? We're going to make you miss. If you take a bad angle, we're just going to beat you to the pylon here. He's a guy that if you don't respect what he can do from a speed standpoint, he can really change a game. I think primarily he's really successful working vertically because of that speed. He tracks the football really well too. But you see as we get later into some of this stuff that, I mean, what he does when he has the ball in his hands is exciting as well. Yeah, very natural when he gets the foot. And this is the guy you remember, like Tez Johnson, like eyes in the back of your head, just having exceptional feel for, hey, when I get the football in space, I know what to do. That's kind of what you see for Cam Sermons. Like when he gets the football in space, he's making people miss and he's beating you with bad angles. I I think this is an exciting one. And again, he's a guy that is under the radar because he's 5'9", a buck 50. But again, separation, and then we're gonna pull away from people. Bet on speed. Like when you have guys that are faster than who's trying to cover them, and the chances are you can have a pretty damn good football team. And again, hey, what am I doing with the ball in my hands? Really, really electric. Making people miss. If you take a bad angle, we're gonna run away from you. I like this addition for USC again for a couple of different reasons. One, truly game-breaking speed, and you've seen USC's kind of putting a premium on getting fast guys. You know what they've done in the 2026 class, but also bringing in guys like Tanuk Hines and now a guy like Cam Sermons, they want burners. They want to surround this offense with guys who are difference makers and who are just another level of fast. Cam Sermons is one of those guys. Again, so comfortable after the catch. This again, it kind of reminds you of Tez Johnson because Tez Johnson wasn't necessarily a vertical speed kind of guy, but when he got the football in space, he was making people miss. Cam Sermons kind of reminds you of that a little bit, and we'll see if he works out. I think this is an intriguing one. Again, we'll see how it works out for USC. And I think finally, look, USC probably wanted to add some bodies at the wide receiver position. You know, it is a pretty thin room going into spring practice and fall camp. Adding a guy like Cam Sermons, that's another body that you have in the wide receiver room to work with. A lot of different ways that you can get him involved. Probably going to be primarily as a slot guy, but certainly could be special teams as well. We'll see how it works out. One, you love the legacy. You love the fact that he's the brother of RJ Sermons. You also love the game breaking speed that this kid brings to the table. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.